There is a point where nothing inside the system can change anymore. At that point, leaving becomes the only remaining structural change. This point is rarely recognized when it is reached. It is usually recognized later, after exhaustion, after confusion, after repeated failure. From the inside, it feels like stagnation. From the outside, it is structural closure. Systems do not announce their limits. They continue functioning long after influence disappears. This is why people keep trying. Effort continues because effort once mattered. Communication continues because communication once worked. Compromise continues because compromise once moved outcomes. The system does not signal that these variables have expired. It simply stops responding. Early in any system, change is internal. Behavior alters outcomes. Adjustments propagate. Feedback loops are active. At this stage, leaving is unnecessary. The system is flexible. As time passes, structure accumulates. Constraints form. Roles stabilize. Expectations harden. Dependencies deepen. Each layer reduces internal degrees of freedom. The system becomes dense. Density creates resistance. Eventually, the system reaches a state where all internal variables are exhausted. Effort no longer shifts position. Communication no longer updates behavior. Compromise no longer changes structure. Repair no longer restores access. Everything still functions. Nothing moves. This is the closure point. It does not arrive suddenly. It emerges gradually. The system absorbs more and more input with less and less response. People interpret this as needing to try harder, or differently, or more carefully. The structure does not agree. At this stage, the system has already optimized itself around constraint. Its priority is preservation, not adaptation. Preservation resists change. Internal change threatens stability. Stability is now the system's primary goal. This is why late effort often feels like resistance rather than progress. The system is not evaluating input anymore. It is filtering it out. This filtering is not hostility. It is conservation. The system has decided what it can tolerate. This decision is not conscious. It is structural. Once tolerance is reached, internal variation stops mattering. All remaining movement is external. This is the moment where leaving becomes the only structural change available. Not because leaving is desired, but because it is the only action that alters configuration. Everything else maintains it. This distinction matters. Leaving is not framed here as choice. It is framed as consequence. The system has consumed all internal leverage. No further rearrangement is possible from within. This is why people often experience a strange calm before departure. The struggle ends, the arguments fade, the urgency disappears. Not because resolution occurred, but because influence did. The system is done negotiating. It has reached equilibrium. Equilibrium does not mean satisfaction. It means immobility. At equilibrium, inputs equal outputs. Effort equals maintenance. Change equals noise. Nothing accumulates anymore. This is why continued effort at this stage feels draining rather than hopeful. It is no longer building toward anything. It is sustaining a closed loop. People often misinterpret this as burnout, or loss of motivation, or emotional withdrawal. Those are symptoms. The cause is constraint saturation. The system has no internal slack left. Every role is occupied. Every compromise is priced in. Every tolerance threshold has been reached. What remains is endurance. Endurance is not growth. It is persistence under immobility. This is where confusion intensifies. People ask what else can be done. They search for new strategies. They revisit old conversations. Nothing works. Not because nothing is tried, but because the system no longer responds to trying. This is the structural limit. Understanding this limit changes how the moment is interpreted. The system is not asking for better input. It is signaling that input is no longer the variable. The variable has shifted. The only remaining way to change the system is to exit it. Exit changes constraints instantly. It removes dependencies. It dissolves role density. It resets access conditions. This does not make exit easy. It makes it effective. Effectiveness is not endorsement. It is description. From a structural perspective, exit is not an action taken inside the system. It is the removal of the system itself. That is why it works when nothing else does. This is also why exit feels disproportionate. It changes everything at once. Internal changes are incremental. Exit is total. Systems resist total change until incremental change is exhausted. This is why exit is delayed, not because people avoid it, but because systems offer many internal variables before closing them. People try each variable in turn. They increase effort. They improve communication. They compromise more. They seek understanding. They offer reassurance. They apologize. They wait. Each attempt fails quietly, not dramatically, just without effect. The absence of effect is the signal, but it is subtle. Most people are trained to interpret failure as insufficient effort. They are not trained to recognize structural closure. Closure looks like calm repetition. The same conversations, the same outcomes, the same promises, the same disappointment. Nothing escalates. Nothing resolves. This is equilibrium. At equilibrium, staying and leaving are not equal actions. Staying preserves the structure. Leaving dissolves it. This asymmetry is why leaving becomes the only structural change. Not the right change, not the moral change. The only one that alters constraints. This is also why people often leave abruptly. From the outside, the departure looks sudden. From the inside, the decision was made long before. The delay was structural. Exit friction remained high until something shifted. A lease ended, a job changed, a routine broke, a dependency weakened, constraint loosened. Once constraint loosened, exit became possible, not desirable, possible. Possibility is the missing ingredient. Until that moment, staying was not a choice. It was default. The system required it. This reframes the narrative of giving up. Leaving at this point is not abandonment. It is structural necessity. The system has reached a state where no internal modification can produce a different outcome. Continuing to stay does not improve alignment. It only preserves configuration. This is why people often feel relief after leaving systems they struggled to improve. Not happiness, relief. The pressure to fix something unfixable disappears. Relief does not mean the system was bad. It means it was closed. Closed systems do not respond to effort. They respond only to removal. This principle applies across domains. People leave jobs not because they stopped caring, but because advancement stopped existing. They leave relationships not because love vanished, but because responsiveness ended. They leave roles not because meaning disappeared, but because movement did. Leaving is the only change that reintroduces degrees of freedom. This does not make leaving good. It makes it structural. The system reached its limit. That limit is not personal. It is architectural. Understanding this does not instruct action. It clarifies condition. It names the moment where persistence stops being adaptive. The system does not punish persistence. It ignores it. Ignorance is the signal. When nothing inside the system responds anymore, the system is complete. Completion is not success or failure. It is finality. At finality, outcomes are fixed. The only way to produce a different outcome is to enter a different system. This is not advice. It is inevitability. When structure changes, effort appears to work. Here, structure can no longer change internally. Within this structure, no behavior, insight, or repair can alter the outcome. The system has already decided what it can be. Leaving does not fix the system. It ends it. That is the point where leaving becomes the only structural change.